I have written 2 articles recently, specifically for women in leadership, on visibility and power. But something I haven't spoken about on the podcast is my role within Rotary. And that is what I would love to touch on today, hopefully to give you a bit of an indication of the benefits of volunteering and the benefits of involving yourself as a business or as a leader within the community in a much broader sense. So I'm Suzanne Rath, and you're listening to Endures for your daily dose of endurance, leadership and life lessons. So a couple of things I've touched on recently, both on the podcast and in articles that I've written. One is around volunteering in general. So volunteering worldwide is down and giving worldwide is down. And when we do tend to give, we tend to give in these one-off, little bursts. And we certainly have a time issue. We have a distraction issue. Our ability to focus is so much less than what it used to be. And so we constantly think that we don't have time. We're constantly concerned about the rapid rate of change in the world. And so for many people with the cost of living crisis and so on, the concern is really just around survival. And the thought of volunteering or getting involved in something, for example, like Rotary, it seems too overwhelming. People don't understand how it works. They don't want to commit any more of their precious time. And I completely get that. So one of the things for me with joining an online e-club was it served a couple of purposes. So one being that it was less time consuming than a traditional club. So we have a monthly meeting, and at the moment, because I'm taking on the presidency, we also have a monthly board meeting. So it's quite low commitment, but it opens you up to a whole range of people throughout the world and, to be part of this community and be part of something that's bigger than yourself. And, the second piece is around it being cause-based. So as a woman in business, as a woman in leadership, as a woman who is particularly passionate about empowering other women and girls, obviously being in an e-club for empowering women and girls was super important. Now, the second piece that I have written on recently is visibility for women. But I would just like to take this back to visibility for business owners and leaders and humans in general. I sat at the table with somebody just this week who was talking about building their personal brand. The thing is, we all have a personal brand now. So you want to hope that you are building yours with integrity and honesty, and that what you say you're doing behind closed doors or out of work or in work lines up with what you're actually doing. And for many years through my clinical business, Wellness Embodied, we have been very committed to, giving back and trying to help the community in whatever way that we can. And there is so much research for businesses of the benefits of this, right? In terms of visibility. And it's really important that integrity comes into the piece here. So we have done the donations to clubs and all the rest of it because obviously we've aligned with their values. But you can't just, give a donation for marketing and expect that you're going to get all these things back. It is far better for your team's satisfaction and for your sense of satisfaction and fulfillment to actually involve yourself in something. So up here in Cairns, we have involved ourselves with the Far North Queensland Hospital Foundation for many years now. We volunteer at Cardiac Challenge, we go to the events. So we're actually present there, we're engaged within the events. It's not just giving money, set and forget, right? And we're not expectant of anything in return. But what we have gotten in return is obviously the satisfaction from our team volunteering. We have many clients. We get the feel good ourselves, right? Our team feel like they're connected to something broader. And so for me, as a person, as a leader, as a speaker, as a coach, getting involved with Rotary in a way that was time manageable for me was is really important to have something that aligns with my values, to have something that brings that integrity, because I, as a woman, want to explore what's possible. And so I want that for other women and particularly other young girls. And one of the reasons why we are one of our core programs or projects for this year is a pilot teenage girls leadership program is because of that passion, because I see the impact this has on young girls. And, I want to keep girls in the community, in sport, in volunteering, in knowing what's possible, in being physically active, in stepping up into leadership, when we know that women are still being overlooked and are having to actually claim their personal power rather than their positional power, which is another article that I've just submitted to Women Who Lead. And then, of course, the third piece is around our mental health. We're living this massive time of disengagement. Gallup employee engagement figures are through the floor. Burnout is through the roof. Stress is insane. I have a friend who's written a 1-minute reset book, and she was recently going around Manly Beach in Sydney, beautiful place, asking people how stressed they were. People were answering about a 7. If you're a 7 out of 10 stressed at the beach, and I'm paraphrasing her here, how stressed are you in other places? And so to volunteer time rather than just giving money, it increases that connection with a cause. And that's why Rotary is made up of people who do. And the beauty of our online club is in bringing people together, recognizing people's strengths, giving people small things that they can contribute to, so they don't necessarily need to be on a board. But for me, last year, I took on organizing the speaker series because that is something I can really easily do. I know a lot of speakers. I love doing it. It's super easy. Other roles that we'll probably look for in the next 12 months will be around, say, web design, marketing perhaps. There's so many ways that you can come and get involved and actually use your skill set without having to commit hours every week to something that you're just not passionate about and you can't see where it's going. So whatever capacity you might think about volunteering or giving in, I hope this episode has inspired you to maybe give that a little bit more thought. And of course, if you would like to ever find out more about our club, I will put the links in the show notes. I will put a link in for our next 2 upcoming events. One is our speaker series on the 14th of July, which is 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's Brisbane, Sydney time. And we are also in August hosting a networking event, an online networking event for anybody with a passion for empowering women and girls. So you might just hire a lot of women, you might be a woman in leadership, you might be a female business owner, you might be somebody involved with a charity that does a lot of work for women. Whatever it is, come along. The format will be a minute each to introduce yourselves, and we will send out all of the contact details and everything to the attendees after. So if there are particular people within the group that you can form partnerships with or maybe continue the conversation, you will be very welcome to do so. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow for more from Endures. Bye.